My name is Bramanandha Reddy, and I'm the Vice President of Software Business Division and Products Division here in Vortex. I have been with Vortex for about close to 10 years now, and initially responsible for ATM software development, and now responsible for ATM management software, including development, QA, then customer support, and assisting the sales team. So I'm the business unit head for the software products division. Okay, so today the topic, as you all know, is how to effectively sail through the effects of COVID-19 on ATM network services. All banks, financial institutions, and even ATM operators are running the ATM networks, and what are the kind of problems that COVID specifically has imposed upon them, and how do we tackle them. So that is what we're going to discuss today. So during the discussion, I request all of you to be on mute, and I think it will be 45 minutes to 1 hour kind of presentation. I'll go through the slides, talk about it, and I request participants to note down any questions that you have, and at the end of the session we will have a question and answer session. Okay. Okay. So what are the topics of discussion today? Due to the prevailing global COVID-19 pandemic, many financial institutions around the world are forced to work with reduced resources, however, with a greater expectation of keeping essential ATM channel services up and running 24/7. So if the impact of COVID-19 is going to be around for some time, I'm sure it's going to be around for next 6 months at least. People are saying that even until early 2021, it is still going to be there. The impact is still going to remain. So how do retail banks, financial institutions, institutionalize social distancing best practices with minimum impact to business? That is the question. So, and how to effectively make a work from home a reality and still be able to provide a superior services to customers. So that is the aspect that we are going to discuss today in this webinar. In this webinar, Vortex Engineering will help you understand how you can make your ATM network management more effective and in fact much easier even during the times of any pandemic. Okay, so the topics of discussion specifically are how to implement social distancing and work from home policies using collaboration tools with the zero impact essential services. That's the first point. The second one was what role COVID play.
Excuse me, Reddy, yeah. Excuse me. I think some of the attendees, they are saying that the presentation is not visible. I'm not sure, but some of the messages are coming in. So can you kindly check?
Are you able to see it?
From my side, but
from my side, it's not showing.
Okay, hold on. Let me share it again. Are you able to see it now?
Wait.
Are you able to see it now?
Yes, it's come.
Okay.
Yeah, we can. Ready, we can.
Okay. So the topics of today's discussion is how to implement social distancing and work from home policies using collaboration tools with zero impact to essential services, and what kind of impact COVID-19 has on your ATM network P&L, how to increase the effectiveness of your monitoring systems, and how to increase footfalls into the ATM network. Third one is what is lacking on the existing systems and procedures and how to mitigate them effectively. Finally, I will show you a little bit of our product, Perfo, which is a complete self-service ATM management and monitoring software solution, which is an indigenous product developed, and it is deployed in various places around the world by Vortex Engineering. Okay, so we will see what are the benefits, how it helps go through the COVID pandemic. Okay, so talking about the challenges imposed by COVID-19 pandemic on financial institutions and ATM operators, in the past 2 months, as everyone knows, there is not a single day without coronavirus being a subject matter of discussion on news channels, newspapers, markets, and even in your household discussions, right? So it has occupied us fully. Irrespective of the size of the economy, every country has declared emergency measures, economic stimulus packages are being announced. Economic experts and industry experts predict a much greater impact than the Great Depression. Many of the top financial institutions have acknowledged that COVID-19 pandemic could be the most serious challenge in nearly a century. On a lighter note, we are already hearing from government health secretaries that people will have to get used to the situation and learn to live with corona. So that is the kind of things that are happening around us. I remember someone quoting that social distancing is in fact economic distancing. Economies are crippling and unemployment is on the rise. However, every such economic depression and recession reminds us of every such economic depression and recession reminds us of Darwin's survival of the fittest. Darwin's survival of the fittest. The ultimate survivors will be hailed the real COVID superheroes. Right. So coming back, when it comes to banking and ATM channel related services, there are quite a few important challenges that I see many financial institutions are facing, and in the course of tackling them, based on my interactions with various financial institutions in the past month, and reading reports flowing in from various industry corners, I think the top three challenges include the number one is ensuring business continuity despite operating with lesser workforce to enforce social distancing. This is top on the agenda of everyone. The next thing is rethinking and repositioning of business strategy and operation strategy. This is second in the list of people's priorities, organizations' priorities. And the third one is obviously trimming down the cost and improving the efficiency of operations. Because everywhere, including Vortex, we are cutting down costs and trying to improve the efficiency to see how can make a profitable business. So this is going to be a global rule everywhere, and every little penny that's being spent will be scrutinized heavily. Okay, but the above set of challenges poses a set of questions in front of the industry. Questions are like, is the necessary infrastructure in place to enable the transition, particularly in the context of working from home becoming a new normal? How to ensure that regulatory compliances are not compromised? Are the existing digital systems really designed for remote work? Because whatever systems we have today may not be really designed for remote work. So people are used to getting to the office, working all through the day, but now because of social distancing enforced by the governments, people are forced, almost all of us are forced to work from home. So I'm not talking any predictions on will this continue and how long is it going to continue, but it definitely poses a lot of challenges. So are our systems really capable for remote work is a question, and are there enough data analytics and indicators which can help re-strategize the business and operations, because now cost of operations is a serious thing that everybody will be looking at. The management of any organization will be looking at cutting costs. Okay. So before we jump into how Vortex Engineering Solutions solve or address these key problems and challenges, I would like to take you through a glimpse of how digital payments are on the rise and the relevance of cash. So where does cash stand? Many reports say that currency notes are acting
Reddy,
as
Reddy, wait for a moment. The screen is not visible.
screen is not visible. Okay. Is it now visible?
No, no,
Is it?
No, no, no.
no. I think somebody
Yeah.
from other team are trying to do something. That's the reason the screen gets something is happening. So can you just tell the team not to disturb the setting?
Yeah. Request everyone not to do presenting of your screens. Stay on mute and don't click on present now button at all. Okay.
Yeah, now the screen is visible. You can continue.
Yeah. Just prompt me if it goes off next time. Thanks, Manish. So
Yeah, definitely.
before we get into how the challenges are being addressed, I would like to touch upon the rise of digital payments. Many reports say that currency notes are acting as carriers of the virus, but on the contrary, the risk posed by currency notes is no greater than touching any other common surface. Like it could be the doorknobs, it can be the vegetables that you're buying, or anything, any surface. The same risk exists with the usage of even credit and debit cards also. Contactless is a different thing, but contactless transactions and other digital wallet transactions are also on the rise, or in fact, they are on a big rise, and there is a significant drop in cash withdrawals around the globe. So, because of stay-at-home mandates, there's a different pattern that is evolving. People are people. Are you able to see the screen? Please stay on mute, people. Because of stay-at-home mandates, there is a different pattern that is evolving.
Yeah, screen is visible.
Okay. Because of stay-at-home mandates, there is a different pattern that is evolving. People are visiting ATMs less frequently, but withdrawing higher amounts than the pre-COVID times. In fact, the first thing that I did post lockdown announcement was I rushed to an ATM, withdraw cash sufficient enough for a month. That's what I did. And even another thing is that last Sunday, we organized a direct from farmer vegetable distribution in my community living apartment. And it was interesting to find that about 25% of the payments was done in cash only, despite the fact that 80% of the residents living in my community are employed in IT companies. So it was surprising. So, looking at it, I went and read through various articles to see, is cash on a decline? No, actually not. Cash is still strong and plays a vital part of the payment infrastructure amid any crisis or emergency. The 1.7 billion unbanked people in the world rely heavily on cash. So, the availability of cash has to be ensured at all costs. Okay, so it is all the more important to maintain 24/7 availability of our ATM networks. So I'm moving on to the next slide, slide 5. Are you able to see the scene? See the screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
We're able to see the screen.
Okay, please stay on mute. So the key challenges and problems in running an ATM network, let's take a look at that. First thing, as you see on the right side, right top, there are regulatory challenges. One is central bank regulations. The Reserve Bank or the central banks in each country has their own regulations on dispute resolution timelines. Like in some countries, central bank imposes strict regulations wherein any dispute that is raised by a customer with respect to an ATM cash withdrawal, it has to be resolved within 3 days. If it is not resolved within 3 days, then the amount of transaction, the cash transaction value, has to be refunded to the customer, right? And so this is a big challenge because do banks have instant access to information that is required to resolve the disputes? So are systems in place which will help people do this compliance from the perspective of dispute resolution is a question. So particularly when people are working from home, are they having system access into their office, and how are they coping up? The service levels, is it same as earlier or is it going down, right? So with respect to this, even the penalties can also increase. So during this financial meltdown time period, penalties may be a really big thing being talked about, and there will be pressure from the higher management to reduce it at all costs. The next one is about customer satisfaction, the risk of downtime and lesser availability, decrease in customer footfalls, and increase in transaction failures. So in running an ATM network, this is a 3-point risk that every operator or the financial institution which runs the ATM network on its own is constantly endeavoring to make it the best. Okay. Next problem is that of regarding cache optimization. The lack of centralized visibility of the current cache position across your network, how many machines are getting cache low, cache empty, what is the current position, how many transactions are happening, are they really optimized, are the ATMs really positioned well, and do we have good forecast mechanisms? So that is one big challenge that many banks face. Okay, so that is one thing, and the other thing is recently in the
Reddy, unable to hear you.
Pardon? Manish?
Continue.
Yeah. So the other point is about the security and systems.
Yeah, continue. Your voice was not audible.
Okay. So I was talking about cache optimization, lack of centralized visibility of current cache position, and the lack of cache forecast mechanisms is also a big challenge faced by banks. And the next thing is about systems and security, right? Systems and security associated with the risks associated with outdated software and hardware, the revenue risks that the financial institutions face due to malware attacks and fraud attempts, that is also big on the agenda. Then from a business revenue standpoint, the lack of business analytics and no clear definition of KPIs, lesser visibility of revenue leakages, and lack of data for capacity planning. These 4 things are top of the agenda of any bank wanting to optimize their operations and business revenue streams from ATM networks. The last thing is about I would say this is the most important, is to get staff empowered to do all of the necessary things that they have to do day in and day out. That too in a COVID-like situation, working from home, many people are saying that productivity itself is a concern, but I would say that the tedious and inefficient collaboration practices between banks, branch and vendors, that is the biggest problem to fix. Productivity will automatically increase. And even lack of tools to evaluate vendor performance is also posing a big challenge to the banks. Okay, so this is a summary of the challenges and the problems that most banks face. Some have solved it, some are looking for solutions to solve it, and some are going very ahead of others in this context. Am I audible?
Yes, yes. Yes, we can hear you.
So during the times of pandemic, are banks well equipped to handle the challenges? Do banks have the same accessibility of systems and processes from home? Every individual in the organization actually desires to continue work and provide the best of service, but not at the cost of their lives, right? Hence, the remote accessibility to the bank's existing systems, be it electronic journals, reconciliation systems, or the Swiss status reports, claims, etc., is what is the need of the hour, right? So there's no point complaining about people, but it's actually the processes or the ease of use of the tools which has to be looked at. So in order to enable work from home, banks are providing remote access by opening up the critical infrastructure. We have seen office PCs being packed and carried home, new laptops being procured and given to employees, remote desktop sessions being allowed into the critical internal systems. Security experts are continuously warning against these practices and providing guidelines to securely enable remote access to the employees. So online hackers are having a field day during the lockdown. Although there are VPN technologies that are deployed, it really depends on the choice of VPN providers, the configuration controls put in place, and how effectively it's being used. Otherwise, hackers just need one misconfiguration to break into your network and inject the malwares or ransomwares into your network, right? So instead of opening up the complete infrastructure to access from home, I would suggest client access into the applications is a much secure way of operation. Client access in the sense, client access can either be a web portal access or through a mobile application. So such client access is to be completely secure with two-factor authentication mechanisms, in fact protected with TLS encryption and username passwords. So this approach will be better rather than opening the complete critical infrastructure for people to work from home, right? And moreover, adoption of cloud is witnessing a big surge. Cloud service providers and data center providers are reporting that COVID is in fact a blessing in disguise for them. Many financial institutions are moving their systems to the cloud and gaining anytime, anywhere access through mobile applications and web portals. So it's time to embrace the cloud and set yourself free of infrastructure management headaches. So in this context, having discussed the problems the industry faces, what does Vortex have to offer? We have a solution called Perfo, which is a complete financial self-service terminal management and monitoring solution, which helps you digitize the complete ATM management, increase the operational efficiency, and gain complete visibility. Okay, and the second aspect, It provides you with informative dashboards to drive cost efficiency and make critical business decisions. During the times of COVID, it is all the more important that you banks have analytics driven data to reduce costs and make business decisions accordingly. The last thing is, particularly from a work from home perspective, how to enable people to collaborate, because there are various players who work towards keeping up the ATM uptime. One is the branch, the central office, branch offices, vendors, outsourced service providers, right? So there are at least 4 or 5 sets of organizations working together to make that one ATM up and live, working 24/7. So it's a complex problem. So our solution helps you increase the uptime and for operational folks to swiftly resolve disputes. Okay. While doing all this, you can maintain social distancing, monitor and manage your ATMs at your fingertips using Perfo ATM monitoring mobile application. Okay. And stay home and stay safe. This is the mantra that everybody is floating around in all the emails. Stay home, stay safe. So I'm moving to slide 7. What does Perfo offer? You can go paperless with completely digital journal record archives, enabling regulatory compliance, improving your uptime by 20% with availability monitoring, and eliminate unwanted downtime. Optimize your cash management and don't let your ATMs dry up. Secure your ATM fleet through asset and software version control. Monitor performance KPIs in real time with business analytics. Finally, empower the branch, vendors and service providers alike with incident management notifications and escalations. So today we are successfully monitoring close to 6,000 plus ATM terminals around the globe with this proven solution. So let's I'm going to talk about a few use cases. We talked about the challenges that any bank has when it comes to dispute resolution or monitoring your ATM network and how to optimize the operations and all that, right? So I'm going to take you through some use cases, how this Perfo solution or the Perfo's mobile application enables banks and financial institutions and ATM operators to effectively give a better service to your customers. Okay. So this slide talks about empowering the branch managers and vendors alike. So it gives you 4-in-1 access. So overall ATM health status is accessible. The transactions details are accessible. Cash position is accessible. And the incidents are also accessible. To whom? It depends. If you give access to this mobile application to your branch managers, if branch managers, or in many countries branch managers themselves are still managing their ATM networks, so they around their office, let's say 50-60 ATMs around their office or region is being still managed by branch managers. In many other countries, even in India, many banks have outsourced managed service providers. However, for these managed service providers also have in-house built tools, and Perfo can be a solution to managed service providers also. Okay, so how do we empower the branch managers and vendors? Is providing them this mobile application, and they will get to see the status of the ATMs for which they are in charge of. For example, if a bank has about 1,000 terminals across the country, and this particular branch manager or the service vendors are responsible for only one region which has about 100 ATMs, then you can create username, passwords, give this mobile application to them, They log in with their username passwords, and when they log in, they see only the status of those 100 ATMs which they are managing. So they are not bothered about the complete network, right? So all features, including the dashboards, if it is a branch manager being given access, branch people can look at the electronic journals, resolve disputes themselves by getting access to the camera images, electronic journal records, surveillance videos, all in their mobile app. As you can see, the mobile app screenshots here, the cash position is visible here, ATM status is visible, overall ATM network status is visible to the branch manager, and he or she can also look at the camera images and videos played on their mobile phone itself. So it enables people to freely work from home at ease and at their convenience, because during these times even I find it really very difficult to procure necessary items when I have to go to the market. It's only restricted times that the markets are open, and it's not like a strict 9 to 5 kind of job working from home every day, right? So if we can empower our people with this mobile application, and the same content is available on a web interface. So if people are sitting on their laptops or PCs in home, there is a web application portal under the same framework built and accessible on their laptops also. Okay, so this definitely will increase the productivity of the branch managers as well as the vendors. So coming to vendors, vendors can also be given access to this. So vendors in the sense, the FLM vendors, first level service maintenance vendors, and the second level service maintenance vendors can be given access to this mobile application with a username password, and they get to see only the details they are supposed to see. So they will only see the status of the ATM, the tickets that are assigned to them, what is the problem, they can give updates into the tickets. So as soon as a ticket is updated, comments are given or the status of the tickets are changed, immediately the notification will go to the concerned authorities in the bank, to the central teams as well as the branch people. So it all depends how the bank is operationalizing their network, and you can configure actually the organization hierarchy of your ATM network maintenance can be configured in Perfo. So the set of people, contacts, email IDs, mobile numbers, organization details, and username passwords, access into the mobile applications can be given to the vendors, branches, and FLM, SLM service providers, or whoever it is, whoever needs this access can be given. So recently when I was talking to an operations team in a big bank, they said one of their big concerns, was there anybody? Hello? Okay, so let me continue. So when I was talking to an operations team in a big bank 2-3 weeks back, they said one of their big concerns in remote work from home scenario is about monitoring employee productivity. So I was telling them that a majority of people are true to their self when it comes to work ethics. It is only the combination of simpler processes, tools, and the review mechanisms that would enable them to be productive. So tools like these enable people to gain access ready-made, presented to them in a neat fashion, and not having to look at multiple tools, just one single integrated tool, one solution which attacks all the 4 bullets of ATM management. So this is about incident resolution and collaboration tools, as I was talking, right? So when a ticket is assigned, Tickets get auto-created based on the availability monitoring and assigned to people in the ground based on your configuration, and they get notifications on their mobile about this particular ATM has gone out of service, and this could be the reason. And they have about, as per the SLA terms or the contractual terms that bank has signed up with the service providers. If there is a service provider, definitely banks have some SLA contract terms signed with them. That, for example, if it's a metro ATM, the issue has to be resolved in 3 hours time, or if it's a rural ATM, maybe about 18 hours time or 24 hours time, right? So the ticket notification itself will go highlighting the SLA term. So it says that a ticket is assigned to you, this ATM has this problem, and you have 3 hours to resolve it, right? So the technician or the service provider is instantly notified, and they can update the tickets in the same mobile application, and those updates, whatever the technician provides, gets updated in the central server, and the concerned authorities, whoever is the ATM in charge from the bank side, be it the central monitoring team or the branch side, will get notified. So it's kind of a collaboration tool, more than an incident management system. I would say this is more of a collaboration tool. So a good incident management system goes a long way in automating the incident creation, assignments, in fact auto assignments, sending reminders, escalations and notifications to all the parties concerned. No more phone calls to parties to track issues, right? Particularly, I hate to take during these COVID times, right? I hate to take too many phone calls when I'm doing something. So being on phone all the time, I don't think people like it so much, right? So these collaboration tools definitely will make the whole process much more effective. Moreover, the COVID lockdown has resulted in the closure of many shopping malls, hotels, office complexes and entertainment venues. So the ATMs that are present in these venues have been non-operational for quite a long time. Many countries have been in lockdown for close to 1.5 months, 2 months. When the lockdown relaxations kick in, it will be a humongous task to bring back these ATMs up and running. A lot of collaboration will be required between the bank, branches and the service vendors to make this thing up and back into the old state. So Perfo's incident management system will be a really handy tool to ease out the pressure on the ATM department. I'm on to slide 11. So here we talked about some operational stuff earlier. From a performance standpoint, operational standpoint, we provide performance analytics in terms of the standard ATM uptime, OEM wise reports. We can take OEM wise reports. So for example, here you see the last 7 days, what is the trend of ATM uptime categorized based on the fleet of ATMs. So you have a mix of ATMs, Diebold, NCR, Vortex, Wincor, or any brand of ATM. So you can clearly see which brand of ATM are providing what uptime, right? So that is one way of looking at it from an analytical standpoint. And the other way is zone wise. So zone wise in the sense, we're just putting it as west, north and south. You could have whatever regions you have as per your country network or the bank's network, district wise, zones or whatever it is. It's all fully configurable in the system. So from a zonal standpoint or a regional standpoint, you can look at what is the uptime in each region or zone. So you can pinpoint clearly that this region always has a problem, or this region did not have a problem earlier. Now there is a problem, maybe because the service provider in that particular area has less resources, or his service in that region is the service levels are coming down drastically. So these kind of reports tell you, because when I talk to people, the operational teams in various banks, at the top of their mind, when they keep looking at these graphs, they know that this region is doing good and this region is not. So as soon as they look into this graph, they're able to clearly spot, oh, there's a problem in this particular region. There's a decreasing trend in this particular region, or there's a decreasing trend, or it could be on the positive side also, right? So positive or negative, looking at these graphs and analytics, people are able to identify themselves, right? And other things are top. What is the top fault category across your OEMs, ATM OEMs? So that is one way of looking at it. These are not the only things. I just picked some screens and I'm showcasing it to you. There are various other reports in the system. So if you're willing to look at it, we can get into a more detailed demo at a later point of time. Okay. And so the previous one is also for the operations team, and the next slide number 12, is also about the operational team. The operational team wants to know the current incident status, right? So how many tickets are overdue, how many are open, in progress, hold, resolved, and what is the ticket timeline, when, at what point of the day or during which hours of the day most tickets gets raised, and age wise how many tickets are open currently and how many tickets are resolved within TAT and how many have crossed the TAT or the SLA terms. Okay, so this helps the bank and the financial institutions to optimize and also question the service providers, as well as question their own branch people. If branch people are responsible for maintaining the ATM networks, it clearly shows that this region is weaker. So resource reallocations can be done by the banks, and maybe remote work from home is not working clearly, or those regions are understaffed. Those kind of decisions can be made from these analytics. So even a region-wise TAT reports can also be taken from the system. Okay. Now coming to we talked about the operational teams. Now there is a business team that is interested in transaction data, right? So what kind of transactions are happening and in what numbers? So how many withdrawals are happening? How many deposit transactions are happening? How many statements? How many passbook printing, check deposits, or other transactions? So these analytics tell you about transactional trends. The next thing is about cash dispense. Cash dispense. Can you go on mute? Whoever is on mute, please go on mute. I hear a lot of echo suddenly. Okay, now it is good. So from a cash dispense standpoint, what is the average transaction amounts and what is the total cash dispensed on a per day basis across your network or region wise? You can take a look and optimize your cash distribution to the cash loading agencies based on these reports. And what is the dispense? Particularly now high value withdrawals are being made. People are less frequently visiting the ATMs and making high value withdrawals. So what kind of cash, what kind of denominations have to be loaded into the machines can be easily seen. And after you make a change, is it reflecting in better service to the customer can also be seen through these analytics. So the dispense pattern is also shown by Perfo. And the next thing is about region-wise, which regions have the top transactions and which regions have the bottom transactions. So this allows you to reallocate the ATMs, because in many countries there is downsizing also happening. You never know what all is being planned by various countries depending upon the impact and the amount of optimizations that the bank wants to do. I foresee that a lot of reallocation, re-strategizing of the ATM networks might happen. So these kind of analytics will help them make informed decisions. Okay. So all these analytics are fine, but some of you will have questions that, will I have to keep looking at these analytics all the time? Yes, that's one way. The other way is advanced business analytics triggers based on machine language. So this slide talks about our roadmap. The second item is what I'm particularly talking about. We are working on advanced business analytics and triggers through machine language. So we are working on that to do some trend-based analysis and spot through artificial intelligence that this was the prevailing trend earlier. Now there is a sudden shift in the pattern of transactions or the pattern of withdrawals. So that those kind of heuristics, when it is auto-populated by the system, it helps the business teams reorganize the operations and make it more efficient. So we are working on that. And the next thing is about fraud detection using behavior-based anomaly detection and trend analytics and pattern recognition. So this is something we have not started yet, but we will soon be starting and getting on to this subject sooner during this year. Okay, and the last thing is about cache optimization. So right now the kind of indents many banks raise to the cache loading operators is not a scientific method, I would say. So if there is a good scientific method based on the trends in the past and good prediction models, then I'm sure a lot of cash that remains idle in the various ATMs can be optimized so that cash circulation is better and the cost of idle cash is also reduced. Okay, and I missed mentioning the top point, number one point. This point was actually validated. Last week I happened to read one article from Economic Times CIO, where they say that the service management is one thing. Service management is one thing that will be of a big focus in the coming months. The operations, maintenance, and service management will see a massive change. I'm just reading what is written there. Operations, maintenance, and service management will see a massive change in the existing process to reduce dependence on human travel and physical presence. Software using IoT, artificial intelligence, and machine language for remote monitoring operations, fault detection, and auto correction will see a quick rise, along with integration to field force and spare part management. This will ensure much higher productivity and lesser reliance on people or the experts. So system should ensure by itself that it eases the processes and makes it more intuitive for people to deliver on their KPIs. So this was highlighted in the Economic Times article, and it kind of gels well with our roadmap. The next point that was highlighted in the same article was about digital signatures and validations. They say that digital signatures have been adopted for compliance or security checks in critical operations so far. However, due to constraints of handling physical papers as well as support to a remote working model, we may see an explosion of digital signature requirements which will require process and software alignments. So in line with that, we are working on digital work orders with digital signatures for cash loading indents and vendor approvals for spare part replacement or any such thing which needs approvals from the branch. Right? So this in turn limits the face-to-face interactions, promotes social distancing, and cuts the cost of operation and instills, in fact, a lot of transparency. So that is that I have put that as number one item before we get into the rest of the things. So you can hope to see these updates from us in the coming months. Okay. So these are the leading trends that we will witness in the post-COVID-19 world. So it is important for the ATM operators, ATM channel charges. Hello.
There's a lot of background noise and I'm not able to hear properly.
Okay. So what we will do is we are anyway recording this session, and a transcript of what is discussed will also be posted in our website. So you can definitely take a look. I hope that addresses your concern. So as I said, at Vortex we have a solution called Perfo, which is attacking top down the problems that I iterated during this session. And for any product inquiries or demos, please contact us. And in fact, our sales team is working on some special sales programs in terms of, I think, price, in terms of free POCs, things like that. So do get in touch if you're interested. Okay. And I now open up this forum for any question and answers.
Reddy, thanks. There are some questions which is posted in the chat box.
Okay.
So we would like to take that one. I have consolidated the questions. I will run through the one each and every question. You can answer it.
Okay.
Okay. The first question is: any data is available on ATM cash withdrawal pattern post COVID-19?
Yes, as I said, right, the withdrawals, the number of withdrawals has significantly dropped, but the amount of withdrawal, the transaction amount, has gone up.
Okay. The second question is from Alex Abbey, Systems and Security, both hardware. How do you ensure maximum security for ATM users amidst the COVID-19 era in order to minimize or mitigate the transmission via infected ATM keypads?
Yeah, see, as ATM service providers, our service engineering, Vortex, I would say, let me tell you a little bit of background of Vortex. Vortex supplies ATMs. We are primarily an ATM manufacturing company, so we have about close to 8,000 ATMs installed all through various regions in the world, and we have a service network, and these service people, when they are visiting, they are sanitizing the keypads to ensure that it is in good condition. So there are such mandates, particularly driven by banks themselves, asking us to do certain things on a regular basis.
Okay. We also have a guidelines for our engineers where we are separating. We are also giving having necessary measures that is advised by the medical services team on servicing the ATMs, and also the keypad. The keypad is mostly used by the customers. So in some cases, they have placed some sanitary things to clean up their hands and all. So it's more of a personal hygiene thing which bank has to do it, and we are awaiting some kind of a guidance also from different organizations to communicate same to the engineers as well as to the banks. The next question is from same Alex. Is there a way Vortex can enhance transactional software to include no-lead transaction inclusion?
Can you say that again, Satish?
Is there a way Vortex can enhance transactional software to include no-lead transactional inclusion? Maybe he's saying that maybe the question is, for example, in India they've said that the other banks ATMs there is no charges for the customers to be charged if you can withdraw from any of the ATMs. I think it is in line with that stuff, but the question is not very clear.
Okay.
So I will move on to the next question. Maybe we can separately send a reply to this when we have a discussion with him. The other question is, do you have an ATM client feature where the bank operator can test service offered on the ATM for a particular card? This allows bank staffs to determine if customers with a particular card type are experiencing a problem using the ATM.
Yes, this is a special service that we provide, which falls under the customization aspect, because when it comes to card numbers and BIN numbers, it is not clearly accessible from the ATM because most of it is masked as per the PCI-DSS regulations on the ATM, right? So this requires integration with the switch database. The EFT switch has this database, so we can integrate our business analytics module into the switches database to grab data from the switch database and present you these statistics.
Okay.
But it requires customization.
Okay, fine. So the other question is there any way to integrate this with other ticket platforms the bank team may already be using?
Yes, it is possible. We can do that, yes.
Okay. This is from Sunimal. Given the current situation, since the market may be looking for a quick solution, implementation, roughly how long would it take to implement the Perfo solution in a bank?
See, normally our implementation time frame is about 3 to 5 weeks. So, in about 3 to 5 weeks, we will hand over the system to the bank and expect the bank to roll it out to all the ATMs.
Okay, so we can take it as 4 weeks. See, and one more thing is, if any of your banks have any difficulties in accessing any remote ATMs during this COVID period, they're happy to even fast track some of the implementation to help you to serve the customers. If any special request is there, you can come in. Please text us or mail to us. We can handle that also. The question 7 is there? This is from Koos Boss of Insure ATMs from Netherlands. All technical faults will be come forward on all ATM models, also on the latest models like Cineo and self-serve.
Yes, definitely. See, this whole technology is based on a standard called SYN-XFS, which all ATMs are mandated to comply with. So our Perfo software is built on the same standard technology, so it doesn't matter which vendor, which ATM.
Okay. So these are the questions, and there is one more question. This is from Ravi Kumar from AppCorp, Andhra Pradesh State Government Bank. Can you kindly clarify the role of a switch vendor and the CBS team in perfect usage of this tool?
See, many banks currently are using some switch-based monitoring systems. See, that is completely insufficient. Because of that insufficiency only, there are software only product companies who have got into the problem solving of ATM management and monitoring. Right? So Switch does not have an integrated system to provide you EJ, images, transactions. It doesn't have any incident management system built into it, right? So all these four factors, when they combine into one solution, that gives the power to the branch, the vendors, and the service providers, all put together into one collaboration system. That is the problem that Perfo solves and makes the operations and business teams more efficient in what they are supposed to do. Otherwise, there are so many systems, many banks, the customers that we are talking to have about 3 or 4 tools from 3 or 4 different vendors. Switch provides some data, and then for EJ, they will have some in-house built tools which may not be PCI DSS compliant. Some even use remote desktops into the ATMs, and you know what, remote desktops can cause damage to the banks with all malware proliferation and all that, right? So and for BA, they would have built some Excel based systems. There are banks which use at least 3 or 4 different systems in silos, built in silos, and not easily able to correlate data between these systems and make good sense out of it. So one single integrated system with all capabilities that are required to effectively manage and monitor a ATM network is something that many people appreciate, and we are winning customers due to that.
Thank you. The other question is also, can you share which countries Vortex ATM monitoring applications are running and supporting?
Yes, there are countries in Africa, Southeast Asia, and in India. This is our primary market. At least about 7-8 countries are using our solutions.
So, do you have, this is from Neil Shiva, do you have solutions for contactless ATM transaction?
Yes, from a Vortex ATM perspective, yes, we have a solution for contactless. If this is an Indian bank, contactless rupee specifications are still to be finalized by NPCI. So we're just waiting on that. Otherwise, we have a contactless kernel, contactless reader module. Everything is ready.
So, one more question is, what is the ROI after implementing your Perfo solution?
I think what we will do is, for the specific question, we will send a slide to the people, and we'll also update that into one of our slides. So there is a significant ROI in terms of operational improvement. Many banks that are using a solution have indeed reported about 15% to 20% improvement from their existing before deployment versus after improvement in their uptime.
So those are the questions which has been posted. You can also send us your questions to our email IDs at marketing@vortex.co.in if you have anything else to be done. So, Reddy?
Yeah, so thank you so much for all of you who have got into this webinar and spent your time. I hope you had a nice time, and I hope I was able to project where the industry is moving and how Vortex is aligning with the goals of the industry, and particularly in times of COVID, how do we effectively mitigate and sail through the concerns that we have and make our people more effective and give better service to our customers. So I hope I did touch upon many things. Whatever I had in mind, I did do. So if there is any feedback, you can definitely write to the marketing email ID, and we'll be happy to attend to it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and stay home and stay safe.
Thank you, Reddy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.